so exciting! Here it comes!
Brett, pipe down!
That's it? That's the last episode? That was just a bunch of cheap walk cycles! And I won't be denied. All I got left is my pride. And I will rise up, breaking out, break you down, break the rules, break new ground. Had no chance, now it's gone. A new day, a new day.
What's up, everyone? Gojin the Mackay Phantom approaching ya. So, everyone here likes nostalgia, right? Going back to revisit one of those films you watched on repeat as a kid reminds us of a much simpler time where all we had to worry about was child abuse and school bullying for our taste in film. And it specifically sparks that joy when the media we've consumed still holds up and we find stuff to appreciate our little brains were too underdeveloped to understand. But what happens when it doesn't hold up? Well, you get Planet of Dinosaurs. This film genuinely stung, because not only is it bad, it's straight up boring, where at times I was left wondering why I liked this movie so much as a child, as there's almost nothing going on to keep adults entertained, let alone an impatient child. But before getting ahead of myself, let's dive into the history. So likely you know who Ray Harryhausen is, a legendary special effects artist known for bringing some of the most impressive monsters to life till this very day. While his work was created under severe limitations in comparison to what we're capable of now, there's no denying how much time and effort he put into his craft, many of his iconic creations being that of dinosaurs. Of course, with such groundbreaking talent, Ray inspired multiple other filmmakers to create their own beasts, including this film's director, James K. Shea, who instructed most of his budget to be spent on the special effects to the point some of the actors weren't even paid what they were owed. But I guess this would pay off as it would receive multiple awards, and the end result might just be comparable to that of Ray Harryhausen's work. But the film itself? God no. But to find that out, we're gonna have to dive right into it. The Spaceship Odyssey suffers mechanical failure. Due to this, Captain Lee crashes the craft into the lake of a planet with an Earth-like atmosphere, after the deaths of two crewmates trying to retrieve supplies at the jaws of a mysterious creature. The remaining crew discovers more alien creatures.
My God, look at the size of them.
These animals resemble dinosaurs of ancient Earth. Now the crew must deal with the atmospheres of this alien prehistoric landscape and grow the impersonal drama between the crew. There's already a lot to go on about this film in terms of writing, whether it be the dialogue, the turtle pacing, and the horrid attempts at exposition. Okay, I do like how despite the crazy concept of dinosaurs being on another planet, they managed to justify it. As stated, the planet they're on is very similar to Earth, so as a result, similar life forms exist on said planet. Kinda going into what it'd be like if another planet didn't get hit with an asteroid. However, the extra detail, I think, muddies it up a bit.
Why not? This planet is similar to Earth. Similar elements bring about similar life forms.
I never saw anything like that on Earth.
Shh. It would have millions of years ago. Obviously, this planet is much younger than that of our Earth.
As I don't know how they'd be aware of that. Just because this planet, dinosaurs weren't wiped out, doesn't make it older. I think you just pulled that out of your ass. Other things just kinda come off as unnecessary. Like, I have no issue with exposition if 1, they feel like they're explaining it to each other rather than the viewer, 2, they have a reason to know what they're explaining other than simply jumping to conclusions because they didn't know how to inform us in any reasonable way, or 3, it actually adds to the story. Planet of Dinosaurs commits all these sins of exposition, and if you want an example of that last one, the film tries to tell us the character's dynamic through explaining it to us, but shows very little.
You think Jim could do better?
Jim has had more space travel than Lee. He's been on more alien worlds. Lee has, well, I know he was top of his class at the academy. He has an excellent record since, but
Lee will do what he thinks is right.
Like, they're on about how two of these guys have opposing opinions, and one of them is apparently more trustworthy because he's, I quote, been to more planets. Like, okay, I get this is a one-off film about dinosaurs, but are there any other planets with other life forms? Or is this simply the only one? It sounds like these people have this wild, fascinating past full of epic adventures that the film brings up and forgets about right away.
I see a farm in Ohio on a fall morning. There's still some mist on the ground. Pale, pale blue mist.
Oh, bullshit! As a citizen, I can confirm the only thing you're getting in Ohio is Rob left with nothing but corn! Oh, but that's not the worst part of this movie, unfortunately. It's how the film pats out its runtime with a bunch of fucking walk cycles. Look, I get in real life there's a lot of walking when you're exploring something like the woods, but just because it's realistic doesn't mean it's fun to watch. You're wrong. If it was there to show their journey, then by all means, but when you have so many of these scenes, it's almost, if not 1/3 of the film. It's so goddamn boring. You know there's an issue when we're over an hour in and my attention is on David Hasselhoff's man tits. Congratulations, movie, you turned me gay! Now, the exposition actually wouldn't be that much of an issue if the characters were actually fleshed out, but they're not. By all means, do you feel like these people got lost on an unknown planet?
Officer, did you manage to send out an SOS?
Yes, sir. I sent out a signal, but I don't know if anyone picked it up. The explosion, it just caused too much static. Captain, what the hell happened?
The Odyssey disintegrated.
Every single person here is so lacking in emotion. It's not just bad, their performance are so lacking in life, they don't even have their own characterization. I'd say they're like NPCs, but some NPCs actually have personality. We got the asshole, whose only real trait is running his mouth, porn stash, who simps for every girl that walks, the guy with a beard, who's a leader.
We've got company.
Dear God, I know they're stuck on an island, but it's only been a day! Shh! It'll all be over soon.
We're prisoners!
Yeah, this is becoming less Planet of Dinosaurs and more of Planet of fucking Alcatraz. I'm done with this shit. Then we got my personal favorite, Ass Crack, who I'd argue gives the best scene of the movie.
Wait a minute!
Oh my.
And those are the only personalities I could grab based on any bit of emotion I spotted in their performance and lines of dialogue.
We can't risk lives trying to tame dinosaurs. We'll stay here. We're safe.
This line right here alone displays the incompetence of the acting, as he can't even change the tone to say they're safe. It's the same robotic yelling he's been doing. So as a result, the line comes across lacking the effect it intended to have, because it feels like he's focused on memorizing the word without putting in the emotion. Just like my reviews. Oh, but it gets better. The actors are so underperformed they couldn't even pay their women to scream. Seriously, look at these clips. The sound effects are so ridiculous and over the top, they sound nothing like the actresses, and if you look at their faces, it doesn't take a genius to know they're not in sync. I get what they were going for with the cast of characters, a group of survivors lost on a planet with nothing else to do but kinda bond, but most of it goes next to nowhere outside of a moment or two of them hanging out. A detail in this story I will give praise for is how throughout the film, everybody is gradually building their way back to primitive lifestyle, devolving in a sense. They have to think up strategies, how to hunt, how to defend themselves, to eventually abandoning all modern clothing and technology to build their own civilization on this planet. But that's really the only bit of character development you'll spot in the story, which is such a small detail, it doesn't even distinguish anybody from the other, since this is a trait they all share. Now, to its credit, the film used its limited resources well, as they acknowledged it is a movie about a planet of dinosaurs, and this is something they can create in simply a forest, as at times the cinematography I think almost tells you this is a prehistoric planet they're visiting. However, I don't know if this was from the lighting. The movie lacks any modern remaster and still has that VHS grainy appearance. But were the actors afraid of fucking poison ivy or some shit? Or they just had the horror money to spend on vegetables more like plastic than Michael Jackson's face at the dollar store? But the majority of it, goddamn, they hold up till this day. I'd go as far to say they rival Ray Harryhausen's work, with how detailed and lifelike the beasts are. Maybe even better than some, as the stuff like the T-Rex moving his tail actually has some pretty smooth frame rate. If I was to get a bit nitpicky here, as top-notch as the Tyrannosaurus looks from his intimidating presence and lively details, it isn't a perfect effect, as the jaw's slightly off in proportion where it doesn't fully connect. But that's only a minor detail in this masterwork. The fat on its body is straight up unbelievable. It's always on the move, and it resembles that of a living creature breathing and chewing. It's almost hard to believe these are stop-motion effects with how smooth they are. Even the Triceratops looks awesome. Harvey might be portrayed as an asshole and overall poorly written and acted, but the chase scene was kinda unsettling, and I think there's something about these old school effects that creates more of an atmosphere around it. It takes arachnophobia to next level too, and it was clever to give us a glimpse of the spider hiding around the corner, since a detail like that does build on suspense. How can anybody forget to mention a mini version of the Rhedosaurus of the Beast from 20,000 Fathoms has an appearance here? But while the dinosaur work is smoother than most of Ray's work, there's a dinosaur fight, and frankly, it's pretty lackluster, considering almost nothing happens here but them standing around and biting each other occasionally. This has nothing to do with its age, as stop motion has accomplished much more in Valley of Gwangi to even 1933's fight with the meat eater in King Kong. It's kinda underwhelming, especially given how beautifully crafted most of the work here is, but I guess it goes to show making an exciting fight is a talent of its own. That's where the important positives end, other than a few details I'll get into, because the music is where we go back downhill. Okay, the opening of the film with these 2D drawings of the dinos is oddly unsettling, and the first time you hear the track, it actually manages to make your skin crawl. Which is crazy given the fact these are just fucking dinosaurs. But it literally abuses this track every time the dinos show up, where it loses all effect for a score that wasn't really that impactful to begin with. There is another specific track I found sorta decent, and that's when Pornstash is taking time to chat with Ass Crack.
What's over there?
I don't know. Let's go see.
As the acoustic guitar builds on their dynamic of them being stranded on a lost planet. Definitely does more for them than the writing and acting does, but as a whole, the composer did a very lackluster job with only 2 serviceable tracks in between. And what's worse, it's stupidly limited. I'd go in further on the musical work here, but there's not much more to say because hardly any was produced here. All else I can add is I don't get what's up with this arcade music. It's used as an attempt to create suspense, but it's overall cheap sounding, and at times it doesn't even ramp up when the thing it's building up for shows its face. All in all, Planet of Dinosaurs is a massive disappointment that frankly defines the term style over substance. Don't get me wrong, I hate when people use that word because it's often thrown around by film snobs on pieces that even tend to be story-driven, such as Godzilla movies, and even films big on combat with a simple narrative. They shouldn't be undermined for being what they aim to be. But Planet of Dinosaurs, despite its incredible special effects, it's dragged down by an overly lengthy runtime, padded out by the characters walking, bad acting, and hilarious dialogue. Like, I get what the crew were good at with special effects, at least the artists. I give them no shit for their contribution, and it's reasonable they put their budget in the one thing they actually had talent for. But honestly, it makes me wish they would have made a documentary instead. Think of how revolutionary this could have been with these special effects and environments. They wouldn't even have to waste money on anybody else, even though, as it is, some cast members got fucked out of a paycheck. Anyway, would I recommend Planet of Dinosaurs? Well, I do see how the special effects and 70s cheesiness could be appealing for some. So I'll let you decide for yourself, even though I myself was kinda bummed out how bored I was with most of it. It has its exciting to even unsettling moments with the dinosaur work, but are outnumbered by lackluster characters and an underdeveloped story. So that being said, I'm gonna award this film an unfortunate 3 out of 10 stars. It's not the worst thing in the world, but as a film I watched a lot growing up, I expected at least campy fun. Anyway, please comment your thoughts down below, and if you enjoyed it, smash that like button and check out my social medias. This is Gojin the Makai Phantom. Leaving the building. But then again, I used to think Younguri was a masterpiece.